G'day everyone, it's Joe here from thekissprinciple.net. Okay, piano improvisation. How do you do it? What's some of the basics that you can do from ground zero? Perhaps you've never improvised on the piano before, or maybe you're pretty good at reading sheet music, but then if you move the music, how do I know what notes to play? So I'm going to just try and present a little bit of basic piano improvisation in its most simplest form and some exercises that you can do to get you started. So let's go. These are some very, very basic exercises that you can do to get used to improvising on the piano. Now, you may have reading sheet music and you're fairly proficient at reading sheet music. I myself, I don't really read much sheet music. I do a lot of playing by ear and a lot of improvising. And you're wondering to yourself, well, how do I know what notes that I'm going to play when I improvise? So there's two things that I want you to take away from this exercise. Now, the first one is don't play songs and don't focus on rhythm and timing. Now, you may be saying, wait a minute. Music is all about rhythm and timing. Yes, absolutely it is. But just for the purpose of this exercise only, just for a little while, don't focus on the rhythm and timing. And the reason why I'm saying that is so that you can switch that section off from your brain, that you don't have to think about it. And I want you to focus at the moment on the chords and the notes that go along with the chord. Now let me explain here. Now we're going to stick to the white keys. We're going to just stick to the key of C, which is just all white keys here on the keyboard. And we're going to focus on three chords, a typical 1-4-5 chord progression in the key of C. So we're looking at a C chord, we're looking at an F chord, and we're looking at a G chord. Now I like to play them as inversions. So there's your C chord, your F chord, and your G chord, F, and back to the C. Now, and the rule that I want you to remember is when we look at the chord pattern on the keyboard is this, that melody notes, when you're playing melody notes, when you're improvising, use your ear to work it out. But the good news is that the melody notes always stay close to the chord notes or the chord pattern. Now that is really good because you see, instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes, or if you're in another key and you're also having to use the black keys, that rules out having to pick 7 notes, and you narrow it down to at least 3. So that's pretty good. You're not having to find, well, which note is it within 8? We only got 3 to choose from. So that's pretty good. Also, the other thing that a chord may have, these are what we call the chord notes, chord tones. So this is what sounds good all the time within the chord. So you're looking at your 1 note, your 3 note, and your 5 note. But there are also 2 other notes that are within the chord, and that's your 2 note and your 4 note. So 1, 3, 5, but then you've also got your 2 and your 4. Now the 2 and the 4 notes are usually what we call passing notes. It's some notes that aren't always played, but you kind of like pass through the notes. Now that's handy to know because you see, analogy that I like to use is the word tomato. Tomato. They're the letters of the word tomato. But if you start changing those letters around, like if you change the T to a B, well, it's no longer a tomato, it's a bomato. Now, look, I know it sounds ridiculously stupid, but just stick with me because I'm trying to make a point here. And it doesn't mean whether it's however you express the word. You say tomato, I say tomato, but don't say banana. Now, hang on a second. I know it's cheesy, but just hang on a second. So when you stick to the notes of a C chord, if you start to venture outside the notes of a C chord, then it no longer starts to become musical. It's like when you start changing the letters from the word tomato in the same way. If you start venturing outside the notes of a C chord, unless you make a chord change to say an F chord. So for example, if you're playing a note, maybe an A will work or an E will work, but if you start playing a B, that's probably not going to sound very nice because you've changed chords. So if the melody goes to a B, then chances are that your chord will be in the key of G, because B is the middle note of the G chord. Same thing if you're in the F chord. If the note becomes an A, then the A, your chances are the A, you'll be playing an F chord, or the notes within an F chord. So this is a bit of an experimentation exercise. So let's play a C note in the bass, and let's do some experimenting with some notes. That sounds good. So those notes all sound good, played along with the C in the bass and the C chord. But what if I do a B? It kind of sounds all right, but you notice there's a little bit of discord there. So, okay, well, B did not work. Why? Because it is in part of a G chord, not a C chord. Well, let's change the bass over to G. Hear the difference? So let's do B against C. Doesn't sound so nice. Let's do it against a G. That sounds better because we're in a G chord now. Back to the C chord. We're in an F chord now. That's an inversion. Let's go to the root position. That sounds okay, but again, I'm using my ear to work out what sounds nice. I'm applying the knowledge that, okay, the notes within an F chord will sound good if you play it against an F. So if my root note is not sounding good, then I move that root note, make it follow along with an F chord. So really, when it comes to piano improvisation, there is no real right or wrong rules here. It's not I failed because I played the wrong note. It's more like, well, that note didn't work, let's just try another note, or try another chord, or try another note against another bass note. So what I'd like you to do is just don't work on the rhythm and timing or work on a song, but just sit at the piano and just experiment playing those melody notes against some chord notes. If you play chords on the left hand, so I shift the left hand to a C. C didn't sound good. Let's go back to the F. No. What about here? Yes. Again, because you are following the notes that stay within the chord. So, hope that's a cool little tip for you. Have fun and experiment. Don't be afraid of making a mistake, because this is the way that you train your ear on how to simply improvise on the piano. Alright, so that wasn't too hard, was it? So as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, kissprinciple.net, like us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram. My name's Joe. Have yourself a great day.